Got another question up front.
See his eye? Look at this Scoot's eye. Oh, that's his mouth. Right? What's on top of his head?
His eyes. The mouth is underneath.
Cool.
Ken, are you scared of anything in there? Are you a little leery of any particular fish?
No, not at all. These are really beautiful creatures, and the reason it's so much fun, look at the colorful fish. Look at the colors on that fish, the yellows and the reds. That's a little Spanish hotfish. And they're really a lot of fun to look at. And I go diving in the ocean and in the aquarium because it's really neat to see them. Plus, they're very interesting. There's a lot of life under the ocean. There's really more creatures and more diversity of life under the ocean than there is above it. So, no, I don't feel afraid of these animals. Certainly not in this tank, anyway.
Ken, we had a question about the feeding. Would you talk a little bit about how we feed the sharks in the exhibit, please?
Correct. We feed the animals 3 times a week, and there are 2 different ways we feed them. One way is scatter feeding. So we scatter the fish in from above, and a combination of squid, smelt, shrimp, and kind of some vitamin-enriched fish food. And then, much like when a fish tank at home, they come up to the surface and they pick the food and eat it. The larger animals, the other way we feed the animals,
They're stealing.
we do have a dive fist here, coming into the tank.
Those are yellow
The
jacks.
way the Santa Claus.
That is
But the
gorgeous.
larger animals we feed with a pole. We'll put a mackerel stick, for example, on the end of a pole and dip it down in the water, and from the sharks will come by and pick the mackerel stick off the pole. We feed large animals individually, so we can make sure that they all eat well.
Ken, looks like Santa stole all your thunder, so they're gonna watch Santa for a second.
Yeah, well, so do you think anybody could possibly be afraid of Santa Claus? None of these fish can be afraid of Santa Claus. They love him.
Oh, he's gonna come over.
Why is Santa Claus in there, Ken? What's he doing?
Well, he's got to check and see which fish are naughty and which fish are nice, of course.
That makes sense. Ken, would you mind slapping 5 with the kids up front so we can get an idea how thick these panels are?
I would be happy to. I'll start here on this window and then we'll do the other one. Can you touch my hand? How close can you get to my hand? What do you think, huh?
How thick do you think these windows are, guys? How many inches?
Another window, too. Here, try to touch my hand.
That's so funny.
How close can you get your hand to my hand?
We got some 8 inches for a guess. I think there's some repeat visitors.
Wow, 8 inches is exactly right. That's a very good guess or a very good repeat visitor, which we love. So these windows are about 10 feet wide, 16 feet tall, 8 inches thick. Because it's a lot of wind. This water is pushing out, trying to make you wet. There's a lot of wind to this water. Just like there's a lot of wind in every Santa Claus that comes by. And so it takes a thick piece of glass to hold back all that water.
Ken, would you go over what you're wearing right now? Just talk a little bit about your equipment.
Me or the Santa Claus?
You can talk about the Santa Claus, what he's wearing.
Actually, we're both wearing the same thing because Santa Claus has to breathe too, just like the rest of us. So Santa Claus and I have a tank on our back, and you'll see that the tank is this kind of steel tank that holds a lot of air under pressure. So it lets us breathe for a while, and then we have these regulators that let the air come into our mouth at the same pressure as you're breathing. But it's the same air you have. There's nothing special about the air I'm breathing. It's the same air. I have a full face mask on, which means my eyes, my nose, and my mouth are all in the same airspace. There's a little microphone here in front of my mouth, and earphones here, and the wires for that are in this blue cable that goes back to the surface. And that's why you can hear me. Now, Santa Claus and Ryan, they don't have full face masks with this blue wire, so they can't hear anything I'm saying. Most movie divers just wear a regular mask that covers their eyes and nose. And we talk to each other with hand signals.
You gotta get
So
that on
most of
Facebook.
the time
Oh,
in the
yeah.
ocean, if I saw a eel, like that moray eel under the ledge over there, there's a nice big green moray, I would go, look, a moray eel. That's the hand signal for a moray. If I saw a shark, I'd go, look, a shark. If I said, hey, I'm lost, where's the boat? We go, where's the
You never
boat?
will
So
see
there's
something.
divers talk to each other
Look at
using
his
handsets.
floating.
Usually, we don't usually have the microphone and earphones that I'm wearing today. The porcupine pufferfish up this thing. He doesn't really, he seems like he's sleeping right now. He doesn't want to come out and fight. That's a very neat animal. He's one of my favorites.
Ken, you mentioned the eels previously. Would you mind talking a little bit about them? Specifically, are they electric?
Well, no, actually, electric eel is kind of a misnomer. The animal that we think of as electric eel is actually a fish, and you only find it in freshwater. There's a certain kind of fish. It's very long and skinny. It looks like an eel, and it does have electric charge. That's actually in rivers that you find it. In the ocean, we don't have any electric eels. We do have guys like this giant green moray. I don't know if you can see him. He's way in the corner. Would you come out and say hi? They would like to talk to you. Would you come out and say hi? Come on. He's not interested. And in the ocean, most of the time you can find eels right up underneath caves, crevices, under shipwrecks.
After this here, get your stuff.
They come out at night. Eels are night predators, so if you swim in the ocean at night, that's when you see the eels swim around. You know that green moray eel, he's not really green. He's actually a different color, and he only looks green. Does anybody know what color the green moray really is?
Who knows what color the green moray actually is? He's not green. What about white, Ken? Is he white?
It's not white.
Is he
Yellow.
It's not black. It's not red like Santa Claus.
Is he blue?
He is blue. That must be that repeat visitor.
We got a ringer in the crowd?
So the green moray has blue skin, but he secretes a yellow mucus that covers his body. And the combination of the yellow mucus over the blue skin makes him look green. Santa Claus, he's just red because he's red.
Ken, we saw a stingray swimming by earlier, which it's kind of hiding in the corner now. Would you talk a little bit about that, please?
You know, we have some wonderful stingrays. It's southern stingrays that we have in this tank. They're animals, their mouth is on the underside. If you saw him swim up the window, his mouth is here. He's a bottom feeder. And you know, stingrays and sharks are related to each other. They both have skeletons that are made out of cartilage. The same thing that's in your nose and your ears. That's tough and flexible and lets you wriggle them. Well, if you notice, the stingray can kind of move his fins up and down his flaps like a bird with flaps its wings. And the shark has that powerful portal tail because their skeletons are made of cartilage. It's very flexible. Unlike the other animals in here, these are all bony fish, they have skeletons made of the same kind of bone that we have in our body. It's also why you'll never find a shark skeleton because cartilage dissolves. You will find shark teeth, but you'll never find a skeleton.
What time is it?
Ken, we had a question for Santa, so hopefully you could relay this to him. Is he bringing presents to the fish? Is that why he's in there?
Well, it's much too early in the month. He's trying to find out who's naughty, who's nice, and what they want. He can't bring presents today. It's too early.
That makes sense. Who's got a question for Ken? Question for the diver? Ken, how do we fill this exhibit? Do we just take a hose and run it from the ocean? How do we get the water in there?
Well, actually, we manufacture the water in this exhibit. So it doesn't come directly from the ocean. It's actually the beach tap water. So it has to go through quite a process. We bring the city water in. We have to filter it. We have to clean it, get some of the fluoride and something out of it. And then we have to add salt. So we add big boxes of salt called instant ocean that helps make the water the right chemical composition of an ocean. And there's a very elaborate filtration system in the aquarium that has to keep the water constantly very clean, always checking to make sure it's the right chemical composition. But it is salt water, it is seawater, it's just that we make it.
Ken, we had a question what the blue wire is. Is that so you don't get lost when you get in the exhibit?
This has the wires in it that let me talk to you.
Who's got a question for Ken?
A wonderful little school of yellow snappers up here. You notice how they swim together, almost like a big circle? We call that schooling. It's a schooling behavior means they swim together in groups. It's a way to protect themselves in the ocean.
Ken, what is the temperature? What's the water like right now?
The water temperature is in the low 70s, maybe 72, 73 degrees.
That sounds nice.
This fella here is a big roof right in front of this window. You know, in the ocean, they're actually a darker color, kind of a dark brown color. But in the aquarium, he's decided to camouflage himself. He's turned himself very white to match the color of the gravel on the bottom of the tank. Fish can do some very interesting things to protect themselves.
Ken, can you talk a little bit about the coral in there? Is that real?
Well, no, it isn't. It's a very good recreation of what the real coral looks like out here in the ocean. This is actually more artificial. I would never touch real coral. If you touch coral, you would kill it. This is made from a material called gunite, kind of a concrete plaster type of material. It would be very damaging to take this much coral out of the ocean, and it would also be hard to keep it alive. We do have some real coral in the aquarium. Over in the back exhibit, aquatic exotics, you'll see some small tanks that have a live coral. It does look a little different, but they're smaller.
Ken, we had a question hoping that you could find a shark's tooth and show our visitors.
Find the sharks?
Are there any teeth on the bottom there?
I'm sorry, find the what?
The shark's teeth? He's curious as to see one. I know it's pretty
Oh,
different.
shark teeth.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I can assure you that the bottom's got a lot of shark teeth in it, and I can also assure you they're very hard to find. They blend in so well, almost instantly. They turn the color of the coral. Once in a while I get lucky and find one, but they're really hard to find. And even the stingray teeth. The stingray are always losing their teeth, just like the sharks do. So there's a lot of stingray teeth down here too. But they're very hard to find. I'm not seeing any quickly.
We appreciate the effort though, Ken. Thank you. Unfortunately, we are now out of time. Actually, one more question.
So I got a question right here. It's lovely young lady with the shark.
Do the stingrays have ears?
Ears. Well, they don't have ears. Most of the animals do have sensory organs that give them an acoustic sense. I know sharks do. Sharks can sense animals that are very far away. I'm not sure about stingrays. We wouldn't call them ears. They certainly have eyes. They certainly have a mouth. And they have sensory organs that help them sense vibration. There's one right here. Let me ask him. Hey, you! See, he didn't stop, so that makes me think maybe he doesn't have ears. I don't think they don't have what we would call ears, but they may have a sense of vibration that helps them detect other animals. I know sharks do. I'm not sure about stingrays.
Rays do as well.